Hi there everyone and welcome to Tech Cravers. You just stumbled upon me immersed in the world of Pokemon Crystal on my analog pocket, a device that undoubtedly offers one of the finest experiences for reliving cherished Game Boy and Game Boy Color classics. While to many of you this might just seem like another Pokemon Crystal ROM demonstration, it's much more than that. What you're witnessing is my personal one-to-one replica of the original Pokemon Crystal game that I unwrapped as a Christmas gift when I was just 13 years old. And this is all done thanks to a device which I will delve into later in this video, designed to enable you to back up all your cherished retro game favorites into digital ROM files. This grants you the flexibility to play them on virtually any device that supports these ROM files. In this video we'll walk through the process of backing up your old cartridge-based games from Nintendo and Sega using a device crafted by a Japanese team known as Save the Hero Builders. And what they have done is to use an open source project and actually done all the work for you. So instead of spending days or even weeks to figure it out, they have streamlined the process, assembling everything for you, saving you time and effort. So now, without any further delay, let's jump into it. Okay, so from their site, which I will provide a link to in the video description, you can purchase the cartridge reader. This reader has undergone several revisions in the past, and as of today, version 3 is available for order. You have the option to customize it in several ways, such as selecting the color of the PCB board, spacers, and the base. Additionally, there are a few extra add-ons that you can purchase, such as a USB-C connection instead of micro USB, among others. The cartridge reader comes with a substantial price tag though. Even if you choose the most affordable version, it will set you back about $160. However, considering the countless hours it saves you, the decision was a no-brainer for me. They constantly emphasize that their product is based on a free open source project and provide links to guides and GitHub pages where you can learn how to do it yourself. Therefore, it's not as if they are trying to profit from something that is freely available. Their product simply offers a shortcut to achieving the same result. And this is the cartridge reader I went for. It's the white PCB board with golden spacers and acrylic base. And it looks absolutely amazing if you ask me. And this device is not only good looking on any desk out there, it's also extremely easy to use. Out of the box you will be able to back up all of your Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis and Nintendo 64 games. And they also sell special adapters that will enable even more systems, like the Sega Master System, Nintendo Entertainment System, WonderSwan Color and the Neo Geo Pocket Color. And one super cool feature that I haven't even mentioned yet is that it will not only back up your actual game, it will also back up your save files if you want to, so you can keep playing on the same save file that you played on all those years ago. And before we start, I just want to briefly mention that there is a comprehensive guide for you to look into if you want to delve deeper in the settings, but to be honest, most of it is very self-explanatory as the settings are written on the PCB board. So in example, let's say you want to dump your SNES games, then the settings are 5 volts as well as CLK0 and CLK1 enabled, and all the settings are done physically via the 4 buttons on the side. Couldn't be easier, to be honest. But now it's time to put it to test. First, insert a USB-C cable into the port, either directly from your computer or via a wall adapter, and then power it on via the button on the side. This is solely to power the device, as unfortunately you won't be able to dump your games directly to your computer. Instead, the games are dumped to an SD card. Upon purchasing the cartridge reader, Save the Hero Builders provides you with a 2 GB card. However, I recommend that you get a larger sized card to avoid frequent game transfers. But now let's try to dump my Pokemon Crystal cartridge, and as we can see from the text on the PCB board, all we have to do to dump Game Boy Color games is to set the voltage to 5 with the buttons on the side. The other buttons should be turned off or to the left. Finally, mount your game in the desired slot, stick in your USB-C cable if you haven't done it already, and turn on your device. And I couldn't get the screen to match my camera's FPS here, so it might be a bit hard to see what I'm doing, but it's very straightforward. You go up and down with the left button and you select or confirm with the right button. So I'm navigating to Game Boy and then to Game Boy Color in the menu, and if everything goes according to plan, the cartridge reader will pick up that this is Pokemon Crystal as seen by the title. Press the button again to get to another menu where you can read the ROM file or read the save file. This basically means dump your game or dump your save file. You can also write save files back to the cartridge should you want that, but in this video I'm just gonna dump the game. So click on read ROM and then wait for the cartridge reader to finish. The time it takes to dump a game varies depending on which game and for which system, but it usually takes between a few seconds and up to a minute. And once it's complete, it will say which name the ROM file got and that you should press the button again. That will take you back to a menu where you can reset or jump back to the start menu. And now your game has been dumped to the SD card and you can mount the card in your computer to grab it. But before we do that, I just want to show you how to dump a NES cartridge using the adapter which I also purchased. With the adapter inserted into my NES game, I'm mounting it in the SNES slot on the cartridge reader. This will create a rather stately yet somewhat wobbly assembly, so be cautious not to break any parts on the cartridge reader. Now the settings for NES games is not written on the device, but on the GitHub page we can see what we need to do, so that's one of those times where it's awesome to have a user manual to lean on to as well. But basically, as you can see here, I'm switching to 5 volts and turning everything else off. And for everything that needs an adapter, including this NES game, you choose the add-ons option at the top. From here you can then choose 70s console, 80s console or handhelds, and since I'm doing NES I'm choosing 80s console, and then I'm choosing NES. And this is where things could get a bit complicated. You can see that it says searching database and then it finds my game. This is because the SD card in this cartridge reader comes with TXT files with many game mappings that are pre-configured. In case the cartridge reader doesn't find your game, you can manually map it using the user guide, but I won't go through that process in this video. The database is a work in project and will become more and more complete by the day. But since my game is already mapped, I'm continuing with the process and select read NES ROM to dump the game. And when I get the message that my game has been dumped, I turn off my cartridge reader, pull out my SD card and put it in my computer. Once my SD cards show up on my computer, you can see that it now contains 2 folders containing our newly dumped games, as well as a bunch of TXT files that contains the pre-configured game mappings, or in other words, the database. Make sure that you copy and transfer these text files to any new SD card that you might end up using with your cartridge reader. Other than that, all you basically have to do is to go into the root of your folders and look for your ROM files. Drag them to your desktop or any other location of your choice, and since our database has already named our file so nicely for us, Emulation Station and other frontends will have no issues picking up box arts etc. for our games. So that's essentially how I preserve my oldest retro games, ensuring I can keep them for the rest of my life without worrying about them degrading over time. Some of you might wonder, why don't you just download the ROMs from the internet? And well, there are actually 2 straightforward reasons for that. Firstly, it's illegal. Even if you own the physical game, downloading the same game from the internet is against the law. Secondly, there's a very unique feeling associated with dumping and playing your own original copy of the game, perhaps even transferring a save file that you haven't touched in decades. And now, thanks to Save the Hero builders, that's easier than ever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, as it really means a lot to me. Also leave a comment what you think of solutions like this, or if you have what it takes to take on the DIY project yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to Tech Ravers for more content like this in the future. Thanks a lot for watching. Tech Ravers out.